For your average consumer of coffee or beef, you probably don't think about soil microbes, you probably don't care about them, but they impact the quality of the coffee or the beef that you're consuming. They also potentially impact how much coffee there is, what the price of that coffee is, how much beef there is, what the price of that beef is, and that all matters for people's pocketbooks and taste buds. I'm a research ecologist at Smithsonian's Migratory Bird Center, and I run the Bird-Friendly Coffee and Cocoa program. So we are a research, certification, and extension program for coffee and cocoa producers, primarily in Latin America, though we do have some farms we work with in Africa, India, and Southeast Asia as well. We've become really interested in other types of biodiversity on coffee farms, and particularly what's happening in the soil. So we had two different questions from coffee farms. On the one side, we just wanted to know ecologically, are there any differences in coffee soils that are what we would call regenerative? So they have shade trees associated with them, they're sustainable farming systems, they're biodiversity friendly, we know we have tons of birds on them. Do they have different soils and soil bacteria and fungi than conventional farms? So farms that are farmed intensively, lots of coffee plants, full sun, no shade trees, essentially no birds use those farms. So we expected that there would be some differences there. And we did find in El Salvador, Colombia, and Peru that shade and sun farms have very different bacterial and fungal communities. So we know, or we think, that the soil microbiomes are influencing everything all the way up through the shade trees and the birds that are in them. So we're starting to figure out what those species are and what their function is. The second thing we wanted to study was whether or not any fungal or bacterial species in the soil or on the coffee plants themselves impact the flavor of the coffee. So we thought there might be something happening in the soils that's influencing these flavors. And we found that farms that produce the flavor actually have totally unique soil bacterial communities, but we didn't find a smoking gun that creates this beautiful flavor note. That's what we were hoping for. So it looks like the story is a lot more complex, and actually with how complex these farms are, that's not terribly surprising. Because we didn't find the smoking bullet, we're now going back to the drawing board and thinking, what can we learn about these communities that helps us change farm management so that we are more likely to get this flavor that the industry wants and that will earn farmers a lot more money. We thought that probably the lessons learned from coffee, the fact that we have these different communities in conventional coffee farms versus regenerative coffee farms, might hold here in Virginia as well. So in order for us to optimize the soils of any type of farming practice so that we produce more, produce better tasting products, produce healthier products, in this case, produce healthier cows and cows that have better quality meat, cows that are living better lives, we need soils that support that outcome. So we're trying to figure out here, what are the differences in the soils? What are the species that are present in each of these soils? And then how do those species impact the things we care about, the production of the system and the health of the products or the animals that are coming off these farming systems? So while we are still in the process of figuring out how a single species of bacteria may influence quality of coffee or flavor of beef or health of the cow, we know that those connections exist. So studying them allows us to optimize those for better money, for better taste, better products, happier bellies, and happier people.